Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for the playing of
the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast
with your host, the 2023 IBWAA Podcast Host of the Year, Jana, and her big brother, Jeff. Thanks for dropping in to another edition, another episode of the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. I am Jeff, the big brother.
And I am Jana, the little sister.
How was your week?
It was good. Had a good week. We made it through our first episode, and now we're in our second, and we are sailing along.
Sailing along, yeah, with second episode.
With our second episode. No,
yeah,
it's
we're
exciting.
on cruise control.
No, lots to talk about this week. I almost feel like, how do we fit it all in?
I don't know. There is a ton of stuff, and we're like in a spot where it's things that we really do need to discuss, because it does look like there could be some things happening that could blow up into bigger things. So definitely something we need to take a look at. We got that. We're going to take a trip down memory lane. Of course, we're going to talk Dodgers, we're going to talk Angels, and then we'll look around the league. Something that I missed from opening day, need to bring up, that hadn't happened, at least not on an opening day, and not even to the team that it happened to. So we'll get to all that as we start episode number 2 of the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. First up today, we're going to take a trip down memory lane. But before we do, remember you can find us on Twitter, or if you're so inclined, X, at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A.
And on Instagram and Facebook at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A.
We didn't bring it up last week as we were coming in, but earlier the week that this episode is connected to was the 50th anniversary of a milestone in baseball history. In fact, for baseball fans, there are a few numbers that you can say. If I say 56, what pops into the top of your head? I know. Joe DiMaggio's hitting streak.
Right. Yes.
If I say 44, do you know what that one is?
I feel like my baseball knowledge is not so huge. At this moment, you're putting me on the spot.
Okay, so some of that is that these are numbers that were either before us or you were still very young when they happened. 44, Pete Rose had a 44-game hit streak, broke the National League record at the time. Another number that we knew for years, or I knew, 714.
Yeah, I know that.
For many years, even though he ended with many more home runs, 715. Anybody who was around at that time frame, who could watch, who was conscious of what was going on, knows that Hank Aaron hit his 715th home run on the 8th of April, 1974.
Yeah, celebrating 50th anniversary of that.
And I remember where I was. I was in the living room of a house on Brown Circle in Hampton, Virginia. It was cool because not only did I know that this pursuit was going on, it didn't, from the standpoint of, what did it mean to me? It was cool to see history being broken. Babe Ruth's number meant to me as a baseball fan, that was the record. We knew the legend of Babe Ruth. My connection to Babe Ruth was Grandpa. He was alive. He was very young when Babe Ruth started playing, but he was able to hear him on the radio whenever they would play Yankee games, over the radio where he was. There was things like that, or he could read about him in the paper. His exploits were ongoing through his young life, throughout, all of Babe Ruth's career, my grandfather or our grandfather was alive for. So we had that connection. And then the stories that went on, the baseball stories. So here we go, Hank Aaron. And here's the thing that I remember probably more. I remember watching the home run. And when after they tore down Atlanta Fulton County Stadium to build Turner Field, which they're no longer there either, out in the parking lot of Turner Field where the wall was that the ball went over, or the fence really, but they put up a spot there to mark the spot where 715 landed out in the parking lot of Turner Field. And I've seen that, but I'd never been in. I've only been to Atlanta Fulton County Stadium.
Right, me too.
But I remember seeing that, being as much excited to get to see the Dodgers play, because we lived in Virginia, and unless it was a game of the week, you didn't get to see the Dodgers play very often. So getting to see the Dodgers play, we weren't watching TBS because TBS wasn't a thing at that point. No Superstation as far as that goes. And watching Al Downing, who also wore number 44, it didn't feel so bad to watch him give up that home run. And that was just the crazy thing. The other part was, and that I remember just as vividly, and maybe even a little bit more, was talking to people about it. Now think about this. I'm 8 years old when this happens. I have no idea other than I love baseball, and this is an incredible feat. I know, Hank Aaron is an incredible baseball player. And when I look at baseball players, that's all I see is how great they are. Or, I don't know anything about anything else. Even, it took me a few years down the road till I realized what the outside ramifications were of this. But I remember talking with a family member, and I won't sell them out as to who they were, but one of our family members. And I said something, wow, it's incredible what happened. And it wasn't our direct family members. It wasn't mom or dad.
Yeah,
but
I figured that.
It was an outer, the next level's out from there kind of thing. And I mentioned how exciting it was to watch that. And that person said to me, instead of, oh yeah, that was great, that was cool, yeah, I watched that too, they said, yeah, it took him longer to do it than it did Babe Ruth. And then a couple of other things to diminish the achievement. And I was like, in my 8-year-old head, I was like, I don't know what difference that makes.
Right.
So what? Of course, he would go on to hit 755 total home runs before he retired, which we know was eventually eclipsed. And a lot of people still don't even accept that. But that's funny part. People who probably didn't want to accept Hank as the home run champ don't want to accept Bonds as the home run champ. I don't know. But the thing was that there was just so much, and when you read about it or you hear about it later, that the vitriol, just the pure hatred towards Hank, he couldn't even enjoy it. He just wanted to be over with because he was tired of people telling him they were coming to kill him or that if he broke that and all of the terms and things you can expect that a black man would have got. But I, to this day, can close my eyes. I can see me standing in the living room, watching the TV and watching that home run leave Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. And Al Downing probably didn't want to be in the history books as the guy that gave up 715. But I think on the other hand, probably if I go back and do a little research, he probably in the end said, I'm glad I was part of that history.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you watch, you can go back and you can watch it and you can hear Vin Scully, his masterful description, what happened. And as he's rounding the bases, the Dodger players are, patting him on the back. Just, because it's momentous. But I was like Dusty Baker and Ralph Garr, who were friends of Hank Aaron and teammates, they were on edge the whole night. And because somebody had said I'm gonna be in a red coat and a red jacket, and so that's what they were looking for, because it was, they had threatened to shoot or assassinate him, Aaron. And I think that's so silly. It's over sports, of eclipsing. I mean, I understand the it's the time, but at this point, I mean, this is 1974, but we're still in the Deep South, which is why, like what Vince Scully said, it's a marvelous moment for the state of Georgia, for the country, for the world. And there were still people out there that just, like, he hit a home run, 715. That's in itself, like I said, is momentous. But then the person doing it can't even enjoy it. And his friends can't enjoy it for him, too, for him to be excited for him, because they were on lookout for somebody in a red coat.
Right. And you can see, go back and watch it. And he's rounding second base, headed towards third, and two guys, white guys, run onto the field, and they run next to him. Now, they don't do anything, but look at his face. He's trying to stay straight ahead.
Yes.
But you could see there was a little fear in his eyes about is something going to happen to me now? Mm-hmm. He had no idea.
Yeah.
Those guys didn't do anything. Luckily, they weren't out to get him as far as we know. They went to congratulate him, and then, and maybe thinking that they could make up for all of the people out there that were bad mouthing him and threatening him.
I think too, there's a lot of character. Hank Aaron treated everybody the same. He was just if you wanted to live your life and the character of who he was, that's who you'd want to emulate, a person you'd want to emulate. He didn't see, it was like everybody was treated the same. And so for him to have to go through all of this stuff because he hit a home run, or he was getting close to hitting a home run, it is, but it's also, now I think we can look at it and see that it's a great part of baseball history. Unfortunately, it has, an ugly side, which in history, that's how it works.
Unfortunately, that was the case. But it's cool that we can look back at it now, enjoy the moment. It's too bad that Hank's no longer with us, that he couldn't also enjoy the 50th anniversary of that home run. Maybe he'd have got to enjoy it more now. There is a storm a-brewing, I think, between MLB and the MLBPA. And it has a lot to do to something that we talked about. You were going to do some kind of a special report, you said, starting last season, investigative reporting or something. Maybe even start a whole new podcast of your own just about pitcher injuries. Apparently,
there's just so many. It's just
hard to keep
I would
up,
be drowning in it, and every day I'd have to, minute by minute, I'd have to be on the air.
Yeah, it's a 24-hour-a-day job right there, keeping up with everybody that's on the injured list, whether it be from this year or last year. It's crazy. And do you have the numbers in front of you? I know that just like one day you sent me like 2 or 3 tweets that were talking about how somebody's been their elbows being looked at. MRI 4. I had known, and I'm actually surprised that it didn't happen last year, but Framber Valdez.
Yes. Yeah.
Last year he had some issues. You thought for sure it was coming. He made it past it, but boom.
Yeah. There actually is, you can Google it, and it's a spreadsheet, and it has all of who's had Tommy John, who's getting injections like the plasma, who's getting that, who's getting the internal brace like Shohei Ohtani had done. And it doesn't just go from just Major League Baseball. It also is the minors, but kids that who have signed with teams that are still in high school are also part of the list.
I'm looking at the list that you sent, the Tommy John surgery list.
Yes.
And based on that list, I see 20 players this year alone. And it does include the high schoolers, minor league players, and MLB. 20 players that have had Tommy John since the 1st of January, 2024.
Yeah. Yes. It's crazy, the amount. So I'm looking at, we know the big one, Shane Bieber getting Tommy John surgery, and he had pitched twice and looked really good. And was he pitching through pain? Was through discomfort? And then finally it's like, it's uncomfortable. It hurts. Spencer Strider, who has been evaluated by Dr. Keith Meister in Arlington. The Braves are not going to have a statement until probably Friday or Saturday. Trevor Gott of the A's had Tommy John surgery. Yuri Perez of the Marlins, Tommy John surgery. Felix Bautista, Sandy Alcantara, Angel Perdomo, Shane McClanahan. Now, these guys are from last season, but at the end of the season, because Felix Bautista was the one, he was right before they went into the playoffs.
Right.
And then they're having Tommy John surgery. But then you have Lucas Giolito, who is with Boston now. He's having UCL primary with an internal brace. Jonathan
Loizaga,
and I even tried to put it out in pronunciation, didn't work, of the Yankees is also having that same surgery. And in addition, like I said, on this list is the people who have had injections of the plasma into their, to see if that would help, a non-surgical option. And it seems like it's out of control, and you're seeing more and more orthopedic surgeons or, orthopedics coming out. And one of them, this was interesting, his name is Dr. Nathan Bowes. He's an assistant professor of orthopedic surgery at University of Texas Southwestern and also a director of sports medicine in Parkland Health. He says athletes 18 and younger should not pitch more than 100 innings in games during a calendar year, and they should take 4 months a year off with no competitive pitching. So he said parents should encourage their kids to play other sports, not just focus on baseball, but we see that they have baseball travel teams. You're playing year round. Also, it says playing one sport and position year round has led to an increase in these types of injuries of the UCL. I also read that the UCL, that ligament, does not fully mature until you're 26, which I never would have thought about a ligament maturing. 57% of UCL reconstruction surgeries in the U.S. involve 15 to 19-year-olds. So they're younger and younger. I don't think when Tommy John had this surgery done, pioneering surgery done.
1974 or something like that.
Yeah, 1974. 50 years ago, that you would think that it would be 57%, more than half are done on 15 to 19-year-olds. And that number is increasing by 9% every year. Cincinnati, this is interesting too. Cincinnati Reds reliever Tajay Antone, he had Tommy John surgery in 2017. He had it a second time in 2021. He returned last season in September 2023, and he will now have surgery tomorrow to repair a partially torn ligament. And the ligament, they said, was torn off the bone.
Oh, wow. What is he
Third
doing?
time. I don't know.
Somewhere along the way. See, it's one thing if it happens once, because you're right. I always remember as a kid, we played Little League. I mean, we played ball year round, but we only played organized ball for a few months every summer.
Right.
And you'd hope that you got to go play deeper into the summer so you could go to go to Williamsport. But if not, you played, and then sure, you'd go out and play Sandlot or whatever, but there was no real competition. You weren't constantly throwing. There was no stress put on, and you moved on. How many people played? I remember guys in high school that said that they played baseball, basketball and baseball just to keep them in shape for when football came back around. And the same thing, people would play football to get in their best shape before basketball or baseball, because baseball had a different conditioning program and football was harder. Basketball was harder. So they do that. We played all kinds of different sports.
Right. And now we're seeing a fixation. If you want to be a major leaguer, this is what you have to do. You're going to have to play in your normal season. You're going to play travel ball, and you're going to continue. That's all you're going to do. This guy, his name is Glenn Fleissig, and he's a biomechanics research director of the American Sports Medicine Institute. He is also a consultant to MLB, but he has done studies on cadavers to see how much torque the UCL can withstand before it tears. And the cadaver ligament began breaking apart even before the torque associated with an upper 90 mile per hour fastball. Now, the cadavers, we weren't healthy athletes in their 20s, obviously, because they're cadavers. I don't know how old they were. But the point that he's making is that pitching is going beyond what Major League Baseball is asking, what the teams are asking is going beyond what the body can handle. So when you have, he throws 100 miles per hour, but he's damaging, the pitcher is hurting himself in that or can be hurting himself.
Well, something to think of that people don't realize is, and it's because of how long he pitched, but Nolan Ryan retired because he finally had an elbow injury.
Finally, right.
And the thing is that people try to discount him. Tom Seaver's another one that came out of the same thing, but they threw with their legs,
yes,
less with their arm. Nolan Ryan is a different animal compared to the pitchers of today.
Yes.
And he didn't, he threw all the time, but in the off season, he didn't continue to do a throwing plan. He didn't go to Driveline to, or some other pitching science, workshop or something like that to continue fine tuning it. He went back home to his ranch and he worked on, worked on the farm.
Yeah.
He built up his strength. He built up his legs. You look at.
A good example too. I know we're talking about pitchers, but you mentioned that like Pete Rose did the same thing.
I was just going to mention that after one season, he went to work thinking he was going to work some cushy job. He ended up working in the rail yards. And when he came back, he had built up. It was an off-season workout.
Yeah.
And that was something that I've read recently. So we've I think the point's made that there's a lot of these, and it's probably, as Justin Verlander said, you said it to me the other day, it's an epidemic.
Yeah, it really is becoming.
It's a pitching injury pandemic.
Yes, it is a pandemic. Yeah. So we look at Garrett Cole is not pitching right now because he has right elbow discomfort. Framber Valdez, we mentioned, left elbow inflammation. Josiah Gray of the Nationals, right elbow forearm flexor strain. And you mentioned the MLBPA. They came out, they said it's the pitch clock. They want the pitch clock. And I have said too, I know there's a lot of people who say it's not. I think it's a combination of a lot of different things. I think the pitch clock, they brought it in, and you have to be ready to go. You never have a little bit of rest. Even if you think, well, that's not a lot between pitches, like we always gave, some pitchers, they're so slow. It takes them forever. But it's kind of rest your arm just for, just to get back in the motion. Now it's like, the hitter's got a clock. He's got to be in the box at this time, and the pitcher's got to be pitching. It's constant. It's because they want the game to go faster. Then MLB came out and said, it's not the pitch clock. It's the velocity and the spin rate increase, which we put out a poll on Twitter. And I didn't put in velocity. I put in sweeper because that's a new type of pitch. But if you look at the sweeper, the velocity and the spin rate of that, like Shohei Ohtani sweeper, is the spin rate on it is huge. The torque on your arm on your elbow is, it's not what your body is supposed to be doing. That your arm, I guess, right? When I was watching Tyler Glasnow pitch this week, he had a reconstruction and was out, but he blamed Trevor Bauer because Trevor Bauer had the whole thing about the sticky substances on the ball, the spider tack, and he was, said everything out loud, and now all that is banned. Pitchers have to be checked. Well, Tyler Glasnow used rosin and sunscreen, which is not that big of a deal, but now there's nothing on the ball. Now they'll say there's a little bit of something because they rub the balls up, but now
they mud the balls,
right?
And so there's supposed to be some form of tackiness to it that's MLB approved,
right?
But not and because they're on that line of how much is too much. And
right.
Even though the pitchers say it's not quite enough, they're not willing to go farther, thinking that the pitchers are going to dupe them, I guess, and they're going to end up giving them a ball that they shouldn't. It's going to go back to where we were before, the things that they're trying to stop from happening.
Right. But I thought it was interesting that he mentioned that because he said right after that's when he noticed because he had a different grip. He had to grip the ball differently. And that's when he started noticing discomfort, because he had to grip it differently. So I think, and then Alex Wood has come out, who is now pitching for the A's, right? Across the bay. And he has come out and said, I think these things, it's not just this, it's not just that, but what we were getting to at the beginning, there's no off season. So he said, I would pitch and then I wouldn't pick up a baseball for, until so many months later. Some guys, he said, didn't pick up a baseball until when they got to spring training.
Right,
and
or
now,
at least through their first bullpen then, whereas other guys are throwing them a little earlier. I think he said he'd pick up a ball like in January.
Right.
So they were done in October. he'd finally get back at it, at that point. That's true. And that's the thing. Let's think about this. We're trying to take the game back with the pitch clock to a time when games ran 2.5 hours, give or take, and more action. We are in a time frame where there are more pitchers than ever that can throw 100 miles an hour. They're not getting the time off. And this is, so I was just thinking about this within this last few days, thinking about this topic. Jim Bouton, who wrote the book Ball 4, was a World Series winning pitcher with the Yankees. Got to a point that he pretty much threw his arm out. And I don't know if you ever saw the movie Trouble with the Curve.
Yeah.
Got some baseball in it. There's, a lot of different things going on there. It's not the greatest baseball movie, but there's something that Justin Timberlake, who plays a scout in the movie, who was scouted by Clint Eastwood's character at one point, said he eventually felt something in his arm go, blew it out, and they didn't really get into detail about what he had done, but he was effective, so he got overpitched. And when he started feeling his arm was sore, he didn't tell them. He just kept pitching. And the question was asked of him, why didn't you tell somebody? He goes, because I was afraid I'd lose my spot. And that's a real thing. And more so than now, I think, because now pitching's become a premium because everybody's injured.
Yeah.
But that's the whole thing. They're throwing people. Back then you threw until, and the same thing, Jim Bouton goes his career. It looks like he's on the track, maybe not a Hall of Famer, but a decent career. And but he ends up throwing his arm out over all that time. And the end result is he went to throwing a knuckleball because it had no effect on his arm as far as that goes. And so he just, in fact, the more tired his arm was, the better his knuckleball was. But because he had overworked it then, constantly getting called into games. Same thing happened in the 70s and 80s. You saw these guys go, well, even from before that was the 60s when that happened to him. And, then you've got these guys now all trying to throw 100. They're all trying to outspin the next guy. I remember when I was in Little League, kids were trying to throw curveballs. They're like, no, don't throw, just throw straight. Don't do that. We had a couple of kids that could throw a curveball with no problem. But for the most part, they're like, don't start letting your kids start throwing curveballs until they're 15, 12 to 15. And now you got kids that the minute they start pitching, spin rate, velocity. Ben Joyce, who at the University of Tennessee was the first kid to throw over 100, compete repetitively in a game, gets signed by the Angels, drafted and signed by the Angels, throws a couple of games, and he's been pretty much injured ever since, or trying to work his way back from injury. And it comes from he wants to be the first guy to throw 105 in a game. Sorry, Nolan Ryan already did that. Problem is at the time that he did it, technology was different, and the pitch that he threw was clocked in a different spot than where it's clocked at now. His true velocity was probably on one of his pitches was probably 109.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of, it's just a different, we bring up, it's like, okay, you want to throw like Nolan Ryan or Roger Clemens or, whoever, but, or Tom Seaver, but it's different on how Randy Johnson. I mean, we can just keep. Yeah,
the fireball. It could go on forever.
I think how they were used, because we've bemoaned this fact. There are no guy. It's very rare to see a 20, complete games and have 20 complete games, have any complete
One.
games. I mean, we have the current Cy Young Award winner has never had a complete game, and he's won 2 Cy Young Awards. And that's Blake Snell.
Right.
So I think it's different, but I think, we put this out there. Is it the velocity? And you have people, yes, it's all velocity, and that's what it is. Is it the pitch clock? And no, it's not the pitch clock. They're using the pitch clock in the minors, but we're having minor league pitchers also have Tommy John surgery. Maybe it is a minor reflection of what is happening, of what's going on, a minor part of this. Is it the ball? Do you have to grip the ball differently because you can't use rosin and you can't use something? It's, and as Garrett Cole said, there's a standard of performance. The standard of performance is different. And pitchers nowadays are not, it's almost like they're not allowed to pitch a full game. They get to 6 innings, and I would say majority time they get to 6 innings. If they're doing well, maybe 7, and that's it. Then they get pulled. So when you go out there as a pitcher, you're going to throw because you don't know how long you're going to last. How good is your stuff? You're going to throw hard at the beginning. You're not going to work up to it. You're going out there throwing hard. And we're seeing what's happening.
Right. Every pitch has to be your best pitch.
Exactly. And I think for MLB, and we see MLBPA, when they put those statements out and it was within minutes of each other, we both had the same thought. Could this lead to a strike?
Right. Yeah. It's because the players are the ones that are going to have to move on this one. The owners are fine with the way things are.
Right.
The league is fine with the way things are. They think that by what they're doing to speed up the game is going to help the game. And, bottom line is it's money, and that's it. But they got to do that. So they have to enforce a clock to get back to a time frame when games, like I said, games did go faster.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so the only way is to regulate, and as a country, we seem to always be against regulating things. But the only way to make this work so that they can continue on and pull in people is we have to regulate this better. And we know that the game of baseball has changed. And with that, these injuries are coming up with the pitchers because of all those factors that we just talked about. All of those things are leading to it. And anybody, the league is isolating out one part of it. MLBPA is pointing the finger at the pitch clock. And I think it's a little bit of both. We're pushing it to a point where these players are going beyond what their body can handle, even with the great conditioning that they have. But here's the problem, and this is what playing other sports or having other activities goes, is that when all you do is trained to throw a baseball, that's all your body knows how to do. It doesn't react to all the other things. It doesn't condition to other things. Throwing a football is different than throwing a baseball. Even throwing a softball. But even if you didn't, it's like people are all weirded out by Yamamoto throwing javelins. But if you watch, there's probably something to the throwing of the javelin that will keep him from having Tommy John surgery. Maybe. I mean, we'll see. But, there's all those different things of finding different ways to work out, to build up your strength. Bottom line is always the thing that comes back. Since I was a kid to now, the back of comic books, They'd have the guy kicking sand in the 98-pound weakling's face. Those were, I forget what they were called, but the Charles Atlas exercises were core exercises. They weren't about, going out and bench pressing 900 pounds. They were about building your whole body, and by building your core from there. These guys aren't necessarily doing that. They're in decent shape, but, and that was one thing all through ball 4, all I read was all the managers just said, I don't care what you do, but you need to get your running in to go out, and the pitchers go out and sprinting out in the outfield. That was all the managers or the pitching coaches were interested in. Oh, you can't do it today, then you need to do double tomorrow. You're going to get your running in.
It's not just the arm of a pitcher. Obviously, that's important, but it's the whole body mechanics. So I don't know what they teach at Driveline. They're it's not just pitching. There's other players that have gone to work on hitting and things like that. But is it the total body? And there's a lot of different mechanics, but I think too, the way teams use their pitchers obviously is a lot different than how it used to be. And I could see where somebody any of the pitchers, but especially younger pitchers, because they want to keep their spot in the rotation. They don't want to be optioned or, you're going down to the minors. They're going to throw their hardest all the time because that's what's going to get them noticed, as you mentioned, like with Ben Joyce. And it's something that Major League Baseball has said that they are, always putting, it's a task force, a committee, but the bigger names are just dropping. And Shane Bieber, though, is interesting because didn't he have issues, elbow discomfort last year?
He had a couple of things going on.
Right.
I think he had some shoulder issues as well.
Yeah.
So it wasn't specifically his elbow. It was.
But you wonder if in the off season things started feeling better, but the injury was there, but it maybe wasn't as noticeable. Maybe he, because I don't know.
Well, it's like we don't see anything. We don't see anything going on in there.
Yeah.
That's it, because they don't want to have the surgery.
Of course not.
Or any surgery most of the time.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, it's I think that they're short-sighted, both sides, and the MLBPA, I know, trying to take care of the players, but they need to look at everything as a whole. It's not just the pitch clock. The pitch clock is causing a problem, but the thing with that is that it's because these guys have been allowed to get to a point. I mean, just to go, you mentioned Pete Rose a little bit. We're both reading Charlie Hustle, the new book about Pete Rose, and to be soft was a theme, and not to be soft. And these guys, for all purposes, are kind of soft. And it's not their fault. It's the way. We don't let you pitch that far. We're not going to let you pitch out of a problem. You get a problem, it's like helicopter pilots, parents.
Yeah.
Helicopter parents are right there to take care of everything,
Mm-hmm.
And those kids, even though helicopter parents weren't a big thing when I was a kid, they were still around, but there weren't as many of them, and that's the thing. These teams are like that.
Well, it's only pitch count. We're only going to let him go up to 60 pitches.
But if they get into trouble, we're going to take care of it for them.
Right.
And I think we have some news that'll probably pop up in around baseball about a guy who I think his overall career suffered because of that macro management, the helicopter owners. On his career, I think could have been much better than what it was. And he's somebody who could probably fit in here somewhere in injury issues and stuff like that. So, the bottom line is that there are a lot of pitchers that went through, even with that list. How many people on that list, starting with because nobody had a Tommy John surgery until Tommy John,
Right.
since he was the first one. But when you look at the list, he was the first one in 1974. Since then, somewhere close to 2,500 players of all. And this is what's reported. We don't know if maybe somebody along the way had it and it never got reported.
Yeah.
But there's a lot.
Well,
and that's not just major league players. That's everybody. But that's a lot when you think about how small, the baseball world is. And the fact that you have increasingly more and more high schoolers having to have this done tells you that they're throwing out their arms early because they're doing all these things early.
I think a good example of parents, or like this doctor had said, only let them, they should only throw this long, and they should be playing other sports, they should be doing other things. Joe Kelly talks about that in his book, that he got to a point where, yeah, he pitched, but it was becoming a chore. He missed couldn't go to his brother's birthday party, or had to leave early, and he got into skateboarding. And his parents said, okay, we're going to pick our battles and let him skateboard. And I think we need to, it's just like hyper focused that your kid isn't necessarily, it takes a lot to be drafted and to be seen, right? Just to be seen, just to be scouted.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just was thinking, Joe Kelly, I mean, he played football, he did other things too. But I just thought, hey, he loves baseball. But in that time frame, it was important for him to be able to go and be a skateboarder, in Corona, California. And I think that's important. I think we get too fixated on the next great thing. And we can see that we have, college baseball's already, they're already playing, and, who's on top and who's throwing over 100. Who's the guy from LSU? He plays for Pittsburgh now.
Paul Scanes.
Yeah, Paul Scanes. He is another one. He's fireballer. I mean, he was throwing really hard. How long is that sustainable for him?
Well, that's a good question, and that's what we'll have to watch and see. As the time goes by with these news guys too coming up. So, you mentioned Joe. I wonder if Joe was at UCR when Ipe was
supposed to be there. I don't know.
So,
that'd be a good question.
just to give you, we brought up Nolan Ryan. Nolan Ryan threw over 5,300 innings, and it was in the last inning versus Toronto that he felt something pop. 5,300 innings. And how many years? 24 years, I think it was. Let's contrast that with Shane Bieber, who came into the league full time in 2019. He actually debuted in 2018. But in 7 seasons, he's thrown, where did it go? He has thrown 843 innings. How does that work? 843 innings, he's already out. If we go back and we look at some of these other pitchers, how many innings had Shohei pitched? And we'd have to go back and find out how many innings he threw in Japan as well. Because it wasn't like he just had a couple of hundred innings and then all of a sudden, because he had thrown for a while there. But when you look at that, these guys, short career so far, yet they're already in a spot where who knows what's going to happen. We're talking now guys who are trying to come back from second Tommy Johns. There's not just like one of them. There's many. In fact, Walker Buehler with the Dodgers. trying to do that. Shohei next year will be working, even though technically it wasn't the same exact surgery. It's very close.
Yeah, it hasn't changed much, according to the leading doctor of Neil
Trash.
Yeah. So he says it hasn't changed that much, but obviously there are different things. I mean, they have the plasma injections that they try to use, but
how good has that ever come out to be?
Never.
It never seems to work.
Never
that they do that. But you know what I wonder too is that a viable treatment for somebody who's not a professional athlete? If I had a tear like that, if I'm a weekend softball player or something, or even baseball or whatever, throwing and I feel it go, it's not a big deal. If they can give me things and I not use my arm to play, maybe it takes a year before it's fully healed.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that's a good treatment for that. But if you want to do it so that you can get back and playing in the shortest amount of time, you have to let it go. And it's like my, Bono, our dog, he had a torn ligament, had to get knee surgery, basically, with the way the dog's leg is. It was basically knee surgery. And they put a thing in there to plate and you see how it all works and all that stuff. Would it have healed on its own without having that surgery? Yes. But it would have taken maybe a couple of years before it fully healed. And even then, it still wouldn't have healed fully and correctly. So, those are the things. Sometimes it's just the only way. And because you don't want to believe it's true and you don't want to lose a year of your career. But, think about this too, though. For these guys, they can't throw anything for a long period of time. Maybe that's why they come back stronger, because they finally got that rest that they hadn't been getting before.
Right, that they needed.
So if you haven't been paying attention, the Angels have actually played some decent baseball. We know that after losing 2 in Baltimore, they came back and won 4 straight, beating Baltimore 1 game and then taking out the Marlins before they headed back home for their home opener versus the Red Sox. And, it's appropriate that we go into them after talking about arm injuries, because it's felt like for a long time a prerequisite to be a member of the Angels staff was to have had or about to have. But now it feels like everybody's had Tommy John or will have Tommy John. It's used to say that about being in radio. There are those who have been fired and those who are going to be fired. With pitchers, there's those who have had Tommy John surgery and those who will have Tommy John surgery. You're not going to avoid it. As Jim Morrison said, no one here gets out alive. And that's the same thing. No one here is going to get out without, how do you think that the 2 guys there, the 2 main surgeons, Trash and Keith Meister, those 2 doctors, how do you think they're keeping up with their lifestyles?
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know when they have time to do anything but Tommy John surgeries.
That's it. They're booked.
I was surprised when they said that Ronald Acuna Jr. was coming to LA to get his knee looked at, and it was Ella Trash that was going to look at his knee. I thought, how does he have time for that? Doesn't he have a Tommy John surgery he should be doing right now?
That's right. Doesn't he only look at elbows?
What I thought. He's like elbow guy. He's an elbow.
Yeah.
What is the medical term for elbow? That's what he is. He's a elbow orthopedic doctor or whatever they call him. They have orthopedic doctors.
Right. But he's
specialist on different things,
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Home
Angels,
o-
though,
I was gonna say home opener for the Angels. Let's just get this out of the way before we get into the games. That is interesting. So they have the big home opener. They have the red carpet, and
right,
people,
which were a little different. It was a little different this year than it had been in the past. In the past, with their red carpet thing, they started a few years ago. I think every team's kind of started doing this thing, and I think they started it too because they started doing it at the All-Star game.
Oh, right.
Where you had like the we're all going to show up and we're going to be dressed up and whatever, and
Yeah, like runway models.
and that's what they had done before. This year, everybody walked the red carpet in uniform.
Yeah, I did see that, but they show a video
Right before every game, not just opening day. But opening day, they play it more as part of, as they're going through all the announcements and everything. And
Yes.
before anybody, the flyover and all of that stuff. And the giant flag gets unfolded out in the outfield.
Yes.
Before all of that stuff happens, as part of it, they do. But before every single game, they play this video. And they've been doing it for a lot of years. I don't know when they started it specifically. As far as what year, I don't remember. The song they play Train's song "Calling All Angels," and that song's probably about 20 years old now. So, and I don't remember them doing it right at the beginning when that song first came out, but a few years down the road, they started using it. It's become a tradition, and they go through the history of the franchise from Gene Autry being, him being the first owner, being awarded to them. To, and then the milestones, Dean Chance winning the Cy Young, to Nolan Ryan and his no-hitters, to Vladdy Guerrero, and that, of course, the World Series, playoffs in 79 and 82. 86. 82, yeah, 79, 82, and 86. And those kind of things, all those highlights. Shohei got booed this time when they showed his stuff from Rookie of the Year and his MVP awards.
Yes. And Artie Moreno was in attendance for this home opener and also got booed. And this is the first game of the home opener. And I thought that was interesting. We'll tell you what happened in the second game, but let's talk about the first game. How did the Angels do?
They were competitive.
Yes.
It didn't, if you watch the first two games, you thought, like the White Sox thought about their season. It's over. We're eliminated as of today. We've lost one. We're not coming back from that. And after two, you would have thought the same thing. And we talked last week how everybody was like jumping off the bridges. They're burning down the stadium, slitting their wrists. I think I brought that up, that they were grabbing the knives.
Yes.
But if you jumped on it, and there's still people that aren't paying attention every day with recent games where they had some troubles. Like, do they know that they suck that bad? I go, well, they're tied for first place. I don't know that they're sucking that bad. Not yet. Maybe they will be. I
thought the first game was, I think competitive is a good word. They did try to, they tried to, they lose this game 8-6, but Anthony Rendon got a hit.
Yes. And by the end of the series, Anthony Rendon had 3 hits.
Wow.
I know.
That is crazy.
And the booing that was happening on opening day. And there was one time that I actually was on Tony's side.
Ooh.
I don't remember who was pitching at the time for, I think Chris Martin might have been on the mound, but Anthony Rendon had like a 8 or 9 pitch at bat. And Anthony Rendon was moved to the leadoff because he's historically sees a lot of pitches. Even with all of the strikeouts and all of the garbage that he's got, over the last few years, he sees a lot of pitches. He gets deep. I mean, he made him throw a lot of pitches. Like I said, 8 or 9 pitches, and then he ended up popping the ball up, and they booed him. And for that one moment, I thought, you're kind of missing the reason Ron Washington moved him to the top. And of course, this wasn't his first at bat of the game, but the reason why Ron Washington moved him to the top was because of that. And he saw a lot of pitches. You want the other players to see that, and your leadoff hitter should do that. Good leadoff hitters will draw, so that you can see what the guy's throwing. Make him throw a lot of pitches, tire him out, get a feel for what he's doing, and go. So, 3 hits at the end of that series. Crazy.
Yeah, it's like a new leash on life for Anthony Rendon. In this game, Logan O'Hoppe hit a grand slam, but it wasn't enough to overtake the Red Sox in this first game.
I know some people that were there, and they left right before the grand slam.
Oh, you never leave.
Not only was it was cold that night, and everybody you could see people wrapped up in blankets and stuff like. Well, they don't have the endurance, I guess.
I forgot it's California. Yeah.
It's the tolerance.
Of the tolerance or the endurance.
Either way, they didn't have either. And, there's not, but I knew that about them. But it was like, oh, did they see that? Look at that. We're back in it. And people were leaving because they were down 5-1.
Right.
O'Hoppe hit that home run. Come to find out, they were like, all the fireworks go off from the home run. They were out to their car already. And they're like, oh, what was that? Yeah, exactly.
That's why you never leave. I don't care if your team is down, you never leave. I have seen teams, I have been at games where your team is down 9-0, and they came back and won 10-9.
You've been at those games?
I have been at a game that happened at a game. But that taught me. But I never leave anyway. But
ask all those people on an October night at Chavez Ravine.
I just was thinking that.
And all the people, and that there's not a single person whose brake lights went on out in the parking lot when that happened that isn't saying, I was at that game, I saw that home run, even though they were part of the people leaving. They've got a ticket stub that shows they went to the game, but that ticket stub didn't show that they stayed for the whole thing. Maybe they should do that. They should stamp it on the way out.
That's right. Left at.
If you leave before the game's over, it'll stamp on there. Left 7th inning. Left 5th inning. Whatever.
That's right. Well, in the second game, you had Reed Detmers.
Till like the 5th inning. Stamp it so when you show your ticket, you didn't get there till the 5th.
Right. That's right.
You don't know what happened in that game.
You have no idea. So the second game, Reed Detmers is on the mound. Really good outing from Reed.
Yes. Reed had a really good outing, but why don't you tell them what happened before the game started?
So before the game, they play the video again, as they do. It's tradition.
Calling all you angels.
Artie Moreno is no longer in the video. He has been edited out.
Which wasn't hard because he wasn't in the video very long anyway. He had a very small part, like seconds, because it was like the change. It's like 2002, win the World Series. Artie Moreno takes over, and it's all downhill from there.
You're right, and it's like, okay, we're not going to keep you in there because we don't want you to. Maybe he asked.
No, I don't think the people who do that. I think he said, "Get me out of that video."
Well, that's what I was wondering.
I am not going to be booed every night.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, he's going to be booed if they know he's there. He's going to be booed, but it's just not going to be on a grand scale of them seeing him in a video. But
but it was a great night for Reed Detmers. Picks up his second win. And like you said, good night. Struck out 12. And that
only gave up 3 hits, but only 1 earned run. And Angels win the game 2-1. So you're like, okay, they close on the first game, but close doesn't win baseball games. Win the second game. Now we're going into third game.
So we got a day game, getaway day.
Yes.
I don't know where the Red Sox were headed after Anaheim. But once they left, they were heading back home, I think, because I think they had to take on the Orioles, actually, as I think about it. They're heading back home. The Angels have this last game with them before they welcome in the Tampa Bay Rays. And I think that the high of a great game the night before hit them with the low of a bad day game. Things just didn't work out for them. It wasn't as if they gave up a lot of runs, all at one time. It took them till the end of the game to put any runs on the board. 8th and 9th is when they got 1 run each, but they gave up 3 in the 3rd, 1 in the 8th, and then 4 more in the 9th. The pitching, overall, once again, problems. Chase Silseth, who we didn't talk about in the last segment, but was on that list of guys who's had an MRI or something looking at his elbow.
He will be in another segment.
So, but another elbow that needed to be looked at.
Yeah.
He had a tough time, but really they could have overcome. He pitches 5 innings. So he did what that's the minimum requirement these days.
Yeah. Right.
So he hit that. He only gave up, and I say this only, he struck out 7, but he gave up 3 home runs, and those were the runs but 3 solo home runs.
Yeah.
Not that that's great, but it's you can come back from that.
Right. There wasn't anybody on base. It's home run.
Problem is, he's relieved by Jose Cisnero, and he only goes a third of the inning, gives up 3 runs of his own. And then Jose Suarez, who would go on to finish, almost finish the game, the last 3 and a third, and then there was another pitcher that came in to finish things out completely. We'll talk about him in just a second, because it wasn't really a pitcher. Jose Suarez, who we had thought was going to come back from issues last year, has really overall pitched pretty horribly. This year he's got his ERA is down to 8.68, but he gave up 5 earned runs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look at the Angels side, I think the bright spot was Mike Trout. He had a home run, he had a walk, he got hit by a pitch, he had RBI, he had a stolen base. Which interesting stolen base because before the season, Ron Washington went to New Jersey to meet with Mike Trout. Probably play golf, I'm sure, but also meet with him. And when he was talking to him, how many bases do you want to steal? 20? I think 20 is a good number. I start with that. So he's on his way to, maybe 20.
And Mike, here's one thing about how Mike Trout's playing to start the season. And we'll talk a little more about him coming up in the next series. But Mike Trout seems to be getting his feel back. And if you go back and you look at players that are Hall of Famers or players that have recently left the game that are projected to be Hall of Famers, these are guys who can look at something and he's almost, right now it feels like, as he's going, he's almost Roy Hobbs-like. If you remember in the movie The Natural, what's his name? Max Mercy, the newspaper guy, Robert Duvall, says this guy does whatever he wants. He wants a single, he wants a triple, whatever he wants to hit, he hits. Mike Trout is in that neighborhood right now.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's productive, and he's doing the things that we expected Mike Trout to be doing all along. We from the early expectations, he set the bar high for all of us, and we've all been trying to keep him there. And then he keeps getting injured and having those issues. We gave up on Rendon, but Mike Trout, nobody's given up on yet.
Yeah, it's a different guy.
And he's trying to will this team to a playoffs. And I know it's early in the season. He may very well end up having a slump somewhere along the way, but he's setting the tone early. And if these other guys can pick it up when he does have a drop off, this is what we wanted as Angel fans from Mike Trout.
Well, our favorite, Eduardo Perez, said that he was in Miami for an Angels game, went into the clubhouse, in the Angels clubhouse, talked to Washington, and he says very different feel, obviously, with new manager, new coaches. He said if everything, it feels, it's looser. Mike Trout is the captain, he's the guy, and everything's around him. They're all, in so many words, just paraphrasing, he said they seem like they had a good vibe. They have a good mix. And I think that's important in the clubhouse, is to have that and to be able to look at Trout as the veteran and have him set the tone, because the younger players, I would hope, want to emulate that.
I think that he has been uncomfortable in that role. Albert Pujols was kind of that guy before. Then it kind of fell to Mike Trout. I never felt like Mike was really wanting to grab that role. And now I think he's realized that I have to play up. I have to be the guy. I can't, we're not going to get anywhere if I'm not the guy.
Yeah.
And that's good, because yes. I don't see that this team they're not a great team, obviously, but they're not a bad team.
Yeah.
Movie quotes keep coming in my head. I bring up Roy Hobbs. How about Brad Pitt in Moneyball? You may not look like a winning team, but you are one. Like everything. And I said this last week, when everybody's jumping off the bridge, pulling the knives out of the block, there's no need. Step back from that ledge, my friend.
It's right.
As much as I hate Third Eye Blind, I will quote them.
Yes. In this case,
we will do that. These guys can, and it's going to take, as we go, these guys that need to step up and do that, the Joe Adells of the world, when they get their chances, they need to do, and they need somebody like Mike Trout to show them the way, to lead them, because they're not going to get it. I don't think they're going to get it from Brandon Drury, who is a vet himself, but is a little quieter, and he's like a utility guy more than a standard everyday, that type of player. But you need that, and then you need like Logan O'Hoppe, they said, plays more like a veteran. He's the catcher. He needs to be another guy who's a solid piece. And then the other guys can start to fall in. So he's kind of helping to lead the other rookies on down the road. And speaking of rookies, we'll talk about another one here coming up. But anyway, they ended up losing that series, but that still doesn't kick them out of first place. They're still a winning record. They finished that series up and are ready to take on the Rays. So back-to-back East opponents. And the first night out, they're like, oh, yeah, Boston's going to beat us 12-1. Well, then Tampa Bay Rays, we're going to beat you 7-1. Mike Trout with a home run in that. He goes 3 for 5 versus them, raises his batting average up to just under 300.
And he had a triple in that game also.
And a triple.
But I also think you got to talk about Tyler Anderson.
I think that we really do. Last week's Player of the Week from you, another 7 innings. Last week he did 7 scoreless innings. He does it again, only gives up 4 hits, just strikes out 3, but that's okay. Kept him off the base. Doesn't matter at that point. If you're not a strikeout pitcher, not a strikeout pitcher. And he limited potential damage by only 1 walk. that didn't come back to haunt him. And, I see in other games where that happened, I've seen it happen around as I've looked at the Angels, other games with the Angels. I saw it happen with other teams, in highlights. Those walks can come back and kill you. You have to limit those. Mm-hmm. You may not strike anybody out, but you can't walk them either.
Right.
Got to make them do something. Make them beat you.
Yes.
And Tyler Anderson really was, he pitched that way and ends up with his second win, and he's gone 14 scoreless to start his season. First night out versus them in that 6-run win, 7-1 game. Tony, 3 for 5.
I know. Had a double. I mean, what's up with that? Did the booze help? I
wonder. And does that mean that Bo Porter, who has known Rendon since he was like 12 or something,
right,
and is the new Angels first base coach, is that working out now? Or is it a combination of many things? I'm still not convinced that he's fully there. But I think nights like that might help as he regains some confidence. He regains
definitely
maybe some joy for the game of baseball. So it was a good night overall. Both Trout and Rendon pick up 3 hits, as does Taylor Ward. And only a couple of the, I guess they're still technically rookies. O'Hoppe and Zach Neto are the only ones to go hitless in that game. Oh, I forgot. Miguel Sano finished up that 12-2 game.
Oh, right. Yeah. So
versus the Red Sox. They called him in because it was just like, well, it's a 10-run lead. We'll have Sano pitch.
Yeah.
And, he finished everything out in that game. Anyway, so great start to that series versus the Rays. Next night out, they just weren't able to hold on. They had a short lead, lasted all of a half inning. Patrick Sandoval back on the mound again, who's had really one good outing of his 3 at that point. This one, another one that wasn't that great. So really what I've been seeing is that there's some life in the offense. They're not consistently just getting beat by one or, scoring only 1 or 2 runs. They're scoring more runs overall. Pitching is having an issue, especially the bullpen.
Yeah.
Has had that. But Patrick Sandoval has really, I think, been a disappointment. Mike Trout, another hit in this game. Nobody had there was no multi-hit games for anybody, but Patrick Sandoval goes for 5 innings, gives up 6 hits but 4 runs, strikes out 6, but also walks 3. And a couple of those would come back around to haunt him.
Yeah, and in that hit that Mike Trout got, it was his number 6 home run.
That's right. So I think he was tied for league lead at that point, as far as with 6 home runs in the league. Still early, obviously, but that's cool that he's getting. He's out there. Like I said, he's doing, and that's what you gotta want. You want, or that's what you want. He's tied actually with Tyler O'Neill from the Red Sox with 6. And then Mookie and Marcell Ozuna, who's off to the races to start this season, second with 5. All right, so they dropped that one. Obviously, like I said, we had those issues with pitching. Things just not looking good there. Angels Rays go into the finale just yesterday in the afternoon, and would drop the finale to the Rays 4-2. I don't have all of the numbers in front of me yet here,
We got Mike Trout with went 2 for 3, had a double, had a walk. Joe Adell, 2 for 4 with a home run.
First of the season for him. Yep.
Yeah, and it was Jose. Is it Jose Soriano?
Soriano was and it was his first ever start.
Yeah, and it didn't go great. I mean, it pitches 4 innings, gives up 6 hits, 4 earned runs. Does have 6 strikeouts, but did give up a home run, but the bullpen after looked decent. They looked good.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
They didn't give up any runs.
That. They gave up, and they only gave up 1 more hit.
Yeah, so...
And Soriano's a guy who was signed into the bullpen, not to be a starter. So I think, that was just like, let's get this guy in. We'll get everybody an extra day of rest.
Well, and I think too, and in this game, the Rays, they scored their 4 runs in the first. They scored 3 in the first and 1 in the second. That was it for the rest of the game. So it was just a matter of, on the other side, getting their offense going, and that just didn't happen.
So the team said farewell. We'll see you next week. Made arrangements for whatever, and the Angels will traveling to Boston so they can see if maybe Mike Trout can surpass Tyler O'Neill in Boston in his home park to take the home run lead.
Wasn't it Tyler O'Neill that hit a home run over the Green Monster and it hit somebody's windshield?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
So maybe Mike Trout could be his goal.
Better that.
Yeah, better it. Make a car alarm go off and shattered the windshield.
Maybe hit it so hard it breaks the windshield, bounces off, and hits another one.
Ooh, yes.
Double car alarms.
Yes, that would be awesome.
Anyway, so
not for the car owners.
Now that's not going to happen in Tampa Bay because they play in a dome.
Dumb.
But they're going to be. So that's coming up next week, and then they'll finish up the trip with after Tampa Bay. They'll head up to Cincinnati, and that'll be before they come back home to take on the Orioles.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Player of the week.
Lots and lots of good baseball potentially.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Player of the week. I think I have one. Do you?
I do have one. And I think it kind of is both of my players of the week. I kind of felt like, is there someone else? Do I go with this guy? But I couldn't help. I had to go with Mike Trout. He was 8 for 22, 363 batting average, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, had that stolen base, had some doubles, had some triples. I just had to go with Mike.
Oh, yeah. That was, what did we say about Mike and Shohei over the last few years? Actually, we got to a point with Mike where he was out so much it didn't really matter.
Yeah.
If he did come back, we gave him MVP for just getting healthy.
Yeah.
Or player of the week just for getting healthy. But yeah, when you see what he's doing, you do have to stop and say, okay, what did anybody else do something that was like Mike Troutian? Did they do so enough to out Mike Trout?
Yeah.
And at that point, I don't know. I don't think anybody did. So, yeah, he's a good easy choice there.
I feel a butt coming on. I mean, I did look at Tyler Anderson again because I was like, well, or even Reed Detmers was one of my choices. But
I considered Tyler Anderson this week because once again he went out and did that, and I don't think I'm ready to give Mike Trout anything yet.
See, I also felt it's a little too early, but at the same time, I just felt like that's who it was that stood off the page to me.
Well, I mean, that's fair. I don't have a problem with that. I just decided that I needed to give another pitcher his due, and you mentioned him, and that's Reed Detmers. that's my guy this week for the player of the week. 1.64 ERA over his 2 starts. He's thrown 11 total innings. We didn't give it to him last week because I went with Taylor Ward.
Right.
You went with Tyler Anderson. 2 great outings. When other pitchers have fallen apart, other than Tyler Anderson, these 2 guys have pitched right there. And, he's given up only 5 hits, 2 runs. Like I said, a 1.64 ERA. His WHIP is 0.81. So he's making it. Hasn't given up any home runs. He's just pitching well, and I think if you can keep having him and Anderson and Tyler pitch like that, maybe the other guys can come around.
Yeah, I think so. We'll see.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
Well, I don't know about you, but it seems as though right now the Dodgers are drama-free. Unless I missed something, all of the whole Shohei thing has kind of died down. Obviously, this will all erupt again when Major League Baseball or the law enforcement agencies, when the IRS, the Treasury Department, finishes their investigation into all of this stuff as well. Then we'll have it again. But for now, honestly, to start the season here, it doesn't look like it's affecting the Dodgers.
Yeah,
Am I wrong? I don't know.
Well, I think, we could get something out of the way before we talk about the games.
Well, by all means, fire away.
So the issue with Ipe and the gambling, that seems to be, you still hear, a little bit here and there, but really nothing. It's behind the scenes.
It's chirping.
Yes.
Not a full-on barrage of, it's not a tsunami of.
Yes.
Opinion being thrown out there.
So we talked about the Dodgers and the Giants played last week, and Shohei Ohtani got his first Dodger home run in the last game of that series.
Okay, see, I've already forgotten that too, apparently. So there was some drama. Right. Which game of the series was that?
It was the last game of the series. And
right. So we talked about it last week because right when we were recording last week, we had found out because, as we've mentioned, we always record usually the night before.
And the game was on. I had it on my laptop, and
I was watching on my phone.
Right. And we did mention, Shohei had his first home run. It was the aftermath. They wanted the ball back for Shohei. It was his first Dodger home run. And then it erupted into craziness.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of allegations and a stain again for the Dodgers. A married couple, the ball came, it hit, everybody's reaching for it. She looks down, it's by her feet. She picks it up. You could see her waving it on the broadcast. Immediately, security is there. We need this ball. We'll give you 2 signed baseball hats. Now, before
that, let's just tell you too that those baseball hats, and I think there was a bat involved.
Yes. And a ball.
The lady who got it, when she described it, she said they were gave me a low ball offer.
Yes, on this ball, they said they wouldn't authenticate it if she kept it, and they separated her and her husband, so they couldn't.
So it's like you commit a crime, you separate all of the people, so they can't tell the same story.
Right.
We
Yeah.
just got to tell it right.
So
And
yeah,
were,
so they
or back in the day, they would have said, "Oh, Gestapo tactics."
right. They separated them, and as I mentioned, the first offer, was, hey, we'll give you these 2 signed hats by Shohei will sign them. And like, no, yeah, they lowballed her, and she ends up with a ball, a bat, and the 2 hats signed by Shohei, and they were supposed to escort them out to their car, and apparently that didn't happen. But they get this stuff, right? And that happens all the time. I think, if a player hits his first hit in major leagues, you get you want the ball. It's a milestone.
Well, you see it all the time. If you watch them, they hold up their hand and they
Yes.
kind of shake it like they're holding a baseball.
Yeah.
And, and there's been players, I think we've mentioned it before, players that acted like they were going to throw it into the stands or something like that. Like, what? I don't know. I think.
Well, and then
Pujols
you
did
have
that one
players
time.
like Mookie Betts, who, when they played in Cincinnati, I can't remember the Reds player, the rookie he hit a home run. It was his first hit a home run. He was in the outfield. He asked the fan who caught it for the ball. They gave it to him. They threw it back to him because they recognized the significance. Mookie gives him a bat.
Right.
A signed bat.
Or you could be like, who was it? I think it was last season. Opposing team player, the ball came to him, first baseman, I think, and he just threw it up into the stands because he wasn't paying attention, whatever. I don't know.
Right.
I mean, that's all like, so this ball is big because it's his first home run as a Dodger.
Right.
And the Dodgers want that ball. Shohei Ohtani probably didn't care about the ball, but the Dodgers wanted it.
The Dodgers wanted it. And there is an authenticator at the game.
There's 2. There's one in each dugout.
Right. There's 2. But they were like, we're not going to do it. They said the security was rough with them, which we have heard Dodger Stadium security. They have a name. It's like in Elf, the New York police during the, what was it? The Simon and Garfunkel concert.
The
Mounted
Central Park, Mounties or whatever. Yeah.
Right. So it's like that. They have that reputation. And so they get something, though. It's not like they left without something. Then the next day they're interviewed, and after the game, through the interpreter, Will Ireton, Shohei says, I met. But he didn't say that because in Japanese, they don't use a subject. But it came out, he said, he was thankful that they got the ball back and that he met them. But he didn't meet them. And that's not what he meant. And
Which, of course, then becomes a bigger thing because now if he lies about meeting the people that supposedly that got his ball,
gambled.
He's probably gambled. So I get that. Yeah. See, here I was wrong. They really did have more drama.
They did. And then it turns into the guy, Dylan Hernandez, who writes for the LA Times, who I'm pretty sure is a Dodger hater, but writes about the Dodgers. My mother is Japanese and I speak fluent Japanese, said, made it a big deal. But then all of these other Japanese people who speak Japanese or are Japanese said, no, that's not, it was how Will Ireton translated it. That's not how if you listen, people from Japan had YouTube videos about this. That's not what he said. But that is the stretch. Right. Well, he said he met them. And then, of course, the woman who, in the controversy, who I'm sure to me seems like maybe really wanted this controversy.
Yeah.
And wanted the notoriety, the fame, said, I never met him. They didn't, So in the end, I think we got the linguistics figured out. That's not how it was. That's not what he said. I think that they got the baseball. I'm thankful for that, or I'm happy about that. And, somebody met them. I don't, the team, whoever, but he didn't say he met them. Dodgers came back and said, all right, this isn't a good look. We're inviting the fans back for a whole experience. Come on the field. They can do the whole thing, and we'll give them more.
So they're giving them tickets pretty much behind home plate area.
Right.
Access for them, and the lady even said, I don't remember her name, that they are going to get the pictures, as many pictures as they want.
Right.
And, I mean, I understand they're trying to get out, but why, number one, why are there, you have a ball that if they auctioned it off, you want authentication? I can see the video where she got the ball.
Exactly. Okay, so I was telling Planet Head about this, and he said, if that happened to me, the ball's going down my pants, and they have to come and get it because everybody saw me catch the ball or hold up the ball on TV. I can authenticate it that way. They're not getting that ball.
Right. And they didn't have to give them anything, and they could have demanded everything. It's like, fine, don't authenticate it, but you still don't have it. Right. And you know what? I don't doubt that they got in there. They got in between, so that way the husband couldn't really see what was going on, and they figured they could take advantage of her. And
I think that was
that's what they tried to do, and I think they would have done that to any fan, not just them.
Oh yeah.
But they met their match with somebody who wanted that drama. Me, I probably wouldn't have made any big deal about it. I said, no, I'm keeping the ball. And if he doesn't sign, I'd love to have him sign his home run ball, and then I'm taking it and putting it on my mantle because I'm going to build a mantle. I don't have a mantle right now. I'm going to build one just to put it on there. I don't care. To me, it's like baseball cards. I don't care about how much it costs, but I do agree that, hey, if it's that important, I'd like to meet Shohei. I'd like to see him sign my hat or this bat or this ball or a different ball. I'd like to have seats. If this can get me, if this could get me $10,000, then what's equivalent to $10,000 for stuff? How about some more tickets to games? Good tickets. Because she said, we're going to sit in seats we can't afford to buy.
Right. And they did say, we're fans. We're going to continue to be fans. But I did feel like I'm not taking the Dodgers side because I think the way things played out, it could have been handled differently. But I do feel that there was some being somewhat disingenuous on the fan, how the fans,
Right. They played their card. And they know that people have a bad or not even a misconception. They just have a bad vibe about Dodger Stadium security. Yes. And that makes it more believable.
Yeah.
Even if they embellished their story a bit.
Yes. So yes, there was still controversy.
Instead of sticking around to see what was going to happen, the Dodgers said, we need to get out of town.
Yeah, we're jetting. We're out. So they go to Chicago.
They bailed out. Yeah. Well, and then where do you go when you want to hide out? Chicago.
You do. You go to Chicago. Go to Chicago. First game was a good game as far as back and forth. But Cubs come out on top 9-7.
Yeah. Well, and
I mean, if you're looking for, it wasn't like they just, the Dodgers scored first. They scored 2 in the first, but the Cubs scored 5. But it was, it was a back and forth type of game. But like I said,
this was the perfect place. If Shohei had waited a day or 2 days to hit his first home run in Chicago, there'd have been no issue. They'd have just thrown it back.
Right. It would not have been a big deal, and they don't care.
Well, wait, he hit a home run in Chicago.
They did, and they didn't throw it back.
And they didn't throw it back. So maybe, but the Wrigley Stadium, the Wrigley Field security didn't like, SWAT team this guy. or whoever got the ball. But yeah, second home run. And
Yes.
I think at that point, once again, things started to kind of smooth out. That was in our rear view window mirror. I can't even talk today. In my rear view mirror.
Right.
And we're moving forward. Shohei goes 2 for 5, 2 RBIs with that home run and a double. Has a good series.
Yeah.
I think
Will
one of
Smith-
the local sports writers said he's on a tear.
He is. Yes, I think they did. In this game, Will Smith was 4 for 5, had a double, had an RBI. Teoscar Hernandez, which I think a lot of people were like, why are they signing Teoscar Hernandez? This is why they signed Teoscar Hernandez. 3 for 5, 4 RBIs, a stolen base. The only blemish, Bobby Miller, who was electrifying in his first outing and only goes 1 2/3 innings, gives up 4 hits, 5 runs, walks 2, has only 3 strikeouts. Vast difference between 3 and 11. It does give up a home run. And then, Michael Grove comes in and doesn't help.
No, he didn't help it either. Something else that kind of surprised me last week, and I meant to bring it up, Dinelson Lamet.
Yes.
He, formerly of the Padres.
Yes.
Then he got traded. He got injured. He got released, not even traded. He was released. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it felt like he shows up as a Dodger and has actually pitched okay.
Yeah. And when I saw him pitching, I was like, oh, he's a Dodger? How did that happen?
Wait, yeah. How was I? What was I paying attention to that I
Where was
missed?
I?
Because I was looking at a box score, and I saw Lamet, and I'm like, "There's a Lamet." Wait,
yeah.
and I've only heard of one Lamet. And
Lamet.
Show enough.
So first game out, not a great, not that it wasn't a good game, but it was back and forth. But Cubs come out on top 9-7. Cubs also have been on a hot streak. I think that was their 5th in a row that they had won.
One of just a couple of teams that had the first 5-game winning streak of the season.
So Dodgers come into that next game. Yoshi Yamamoto. I don't know if he likes to be called Yoshi, but Yoshinobu Yamamoto is on the mound. What is he going to do? How is he going to look? He actually looked good. 5 innings, got out of some jams, and gave up 3 hits, but no earned runs, and had 8 strikeouts. So I think as he gets more comfortable, he's going to look, he's going to get better. I think with each, that's the hope. He gets better with each start.
It does make his last outings, this one at Wrigley, the one at Dodger Stadium, his very first here. Both show the promise that he was signed for, and it does make the outing in Korea seem like a one-off. It really could have been nerves. It could have been out of having to wait after warming up and ready to go in, and then all of a sudden now we have to have a concert before the game. I thought we were ready to go. That should have been something that, and those things is like, okay, so that could have been the issue. And now he's back. He's looked pretty good. There were a couple times that I think that he tried to pitch Ian Happ a little too finely, and he ends up walking him.
Yeah.
And thanks to an error by Max Muncy right after that, mishandling the ball, now you've got guys on first and second. He gets out of that jam and takes control from there. He didn't give up any runs that I remember in that game, did he?
No, not that.
Right. So he only gave up 3 hits, struck out 8.
Yeah.
He's in a good spot there.
Yeah. And, Dodgers go on to win this game 4-1. Max Muncy was 2 for 4 in this game, had a double, had 2 RBIs. Shohei continues 2 for 4. Miguel Rojas has been a nice surprise at the plate. He was 2 for 4. And then you have Austin Barnes, 2 for 4.
Oh yeah, he's looked pretty good as well.
And
some good at bats when I've seen him play. Same thing with Miggy. You know, one of my favorite parts of that game is Evan Phillips. Evan's in there pitching. A couple guys get on base because he'd given up a couple of hits, and I think he walked somebody. But early on, somebody said something to him. I don't know if you know what was said to him, but there was a look on his face.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Like, don't worry about it. We're okay.
Right.
You know, just like, yeah, like an old pro. Like, I got this. Don't worry about it. We're going to be okay. You know, Cuz said something to him, you know, throwing a ball back to him. He was like, oh, all right. I could just see you know, just that look he gave. It was pretty good. So they finish up with the Cubs. The next day.
This is not a pretty game. Not at all. It's awful. The weather
the Dodgers
was awful.
scored in the 8th.
1 run. After a 2-hour and 51-minute rain delay that came after, like, the 4th inning, I think, about the 4th inning. They were trying, Kevin Kiermaier's brother, who I guess is the head of the ground crew at Wrigley Field, or he acts like it. He yells at everybody. They were putting drying agent on the field. Miguel Rojas was playing third in this game, was standing in a puddle of water, had an error, because it was just messy. Also fell, it could have had a hit, but fell because the drying agent, he stumbled and couldn't get to first base, and he was not happy because it's like they finally call the game. You know, I think after his error, they're like, "Oh, okay, we'll call the game."
We need. They were trying to. I think I remember you texted me and said they are. They're going to get. Apparently, they have to get this game in.
Yeah, they don't have
were playing through.
Yeah, they didn't have. They were looking at the schedule, and their schedules are not matching up to where they could make the game up. Or they could, and I didn't go back to compare schedules, but you could see he's showing the radar to the head, this Kiermaier is showing, so he must be the head guy, is showing the radar to the head umpire or the crew, the crew chief. And you can see on his phone just the storm coming. I mean, it's massive. So that's why it was 2 hours, 51 minutes. But by that time, the Cubs were already up 6-0. It's like, just call the game now. Who cares?
Well, it wasn't at the 5th yet.
It wasn't to the 5th, so they had to get there. In this game, the Japanese pitcher for the Cubs,
Shota Imanaga.
Very nice, because I would not have said it right. 4 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs, 3 strikeouts. Obviously, a short start for him. But Shohei in this game was 2 for 4, had a triple, had a double, had an RBI. But it was sloppy out there. It was sloppy. The Dodgers I think there was an error on Freddie Freeman.
Right, and that is an odd thing. No. Miguel Rojas and Mookie got the error.
Oh, so maybe it was Freddie had an error. But it was like
maybe they didn't give him the error.
Maybe they didn't give it to him
or something.
Yeah, but yeah, it was just.
Betts had 2 errors.
Right. Yeah, and there was one
official score.
Yes.
Which I forgot something in the Angels segment. We'll talk about it. Official scores before we head to, we'll just start around baseball with that.
Yeah. So yeah, just a sloppy game. Dodgers get out of Chicago, with losing this just in time, losing the series. They head up to Minnesota to face the Twins, and it was.
Before we go to Minnesota,
okay,
that last game,
yes,
Imanaga pitched really well, doesn't get, ends up not getting a decision there because of the weather.
Right.
So who gets the win versus the Dodgers? A former Dodger.
Yes.
Yency Almonte.
Yes, that's who it was.
Gets the win. The other guy who had a pretty decent season in, I guess it's in the revenge series, they want to call it, Michael Busch.
Oh, yeah. He was all about, look at me.
But look, the one thing that you can do there is I don't think Michael Busch ends up having a chance to have a series like that with the Dodgers just because there's no room for him.
Right. No, him playing in Chicago is much better for him as a player. He can play every day. It's better for him. But I think just as we'll see in this next series, when you play your former team, you like to show out a little bit. And Michael Busch did that in this game. He
did, for sure. So they head on, but it's not that big of a deal. The Dodgers lose that. They lose 2 of 3 in Chicago, but remember they had swept the Giants before that. They're still playing 4 games at that point, 4 games over 500. They're 8-4, first place in the West. And then they head to, like you said, Minneapolis for their first interleague series of the year and take on the Twins.
Yes.
And in a stadium where nobody boos Carlos Correa.
Nobody. I mean, some of them looked like they were having conversations that had nothing to do with baseball, but that's beside the point.
That's why they didn't have time to boo Carlos Correa.
That's right.
They probably don't even know the significance of why other people boo Carlos Correa.
Right.
Because they're having conversations about other than baseball.
In this game, James Paxton is on the mound for the Dodgers. He has been a nice surprise. I think a lot of people thought, what the heck? Again, why are you signing James Paxton, who has had injuries? But as we have seen, the Dodgers seem to just kind of know how to help these pitchers either feel better. It's the uniform. I don't know.
I think that after they signed Noah Syndergaard last year,
yes,
that nobody's asking why they signed James Paxton. Because, hey, if they're going to sign Syndergaard, well, okay.
Well, the thing about Paxton is he's looked a lot better than Syndergaard. This is a second outing. He goes, pitches 6 innings, gives up 3 hits, 2 earned runs, has 4 strikeouts. So as a, 6 starter, number 6, number 5, depending, but number 5, not bad. He gives them 6 innings, which is important, especially for the bullpen. Shohei Ohtani, 3 for 5 in this game with a home run, 2 doubles, RBI. James Outman has his first home run of the season in Minnesota. And you mentioned Michael Busch in Chicago having a game against the Dodgers, having a series. Well, this guy had a game, just 1 hit, but Manuel Margot, who was traded along with Tyler Glasnow from Tampa Bay, spent spring training with the Dodgers, hit a home run.
And went 2 for 3. So he had a hit and a home.
Right. He did have the other. So 2 for 3. So had a good game. So hey, I was here with you in spring training, trade me to Minnesota.
But then there's Kyle Farmer, who was a former Dodger, and he went 0 for 2.
Right, but he
had some Cincinnati. He had some games where he beat up on his former team.
He did. But I think he's far enough removed. So, all right. So, first game, Dodgers win 4-2. Second game, Tyler Glasnow.
Did you mention Shohei's home run?
I did. I said he had a home run. Oh, but
and 2 doubles.
And 2 doubles. I said that. But were
Where
you
was I?
asleep?
I
Oh, but
think
the
I was,
home
I think
run
I was reading
was
farther along. I was looking at who else pitched and how did I
oh,
miss that?
I'm just boom, boom, boom. So, but the home run that he hit was after James Outman, because James Outman in the dugout, Shohei,
Oh, right.
asked him, and he's telling him. And if you go back and watch, I don't know if you can go back and watch the game, the pitch and the location of James Outman home run is the same location as Shohei Ohtani's. So he told him, hey, look for this, look for that.
Watch for this slider.
Yep.
It doesn't it doesn't slide as much. I remember watching that too. Yeah.
So yeah, good intel from James Outman, who, like I said, got his first home run of the season.
And the nice thing is he was able to tell Shohei directly.
Yes.
There were no interpreters around.
Nope. And I think that's one thing that I have read, and a lot of people have mentioned, that you think with his English, and maybe you mentioned it too, but he seems to be, he's better versed in baseball lingo.
Right.
Because you're around it more, and you pick up on all those terms. So yeah, but he was able to talk directly to him. Second game, Tyler Glasnow is on the mound for the Dodgers, and he is the only pitcher in the major leagues with 14 strikeouts on fewer than 90 pitches in a game since pitches have been tracked since 1988. He had 14 strikeouts. He pitched 7 innings, had 3 hits, no earned runs. He was magnificent. It was a magnificent outing for Tyler.
Exactly what they wanted for him. The reason why they spent the money on him was they knew he could do this.
Yes.
And the thing will be, like it's been in the past with him in Tampa Bay, is can he stay healthy?
Yes.
He looks like, the number 1 Cy Young candidate, just, 4 starts into the season. Obviously we got a long way to go, but 14 strikeouts, his total numbers. Oh, and don't forget there was a former Dodger that pitched against them for the Twins. So far this season, 2.25 ERA. He's thrown 24 innings, struck out 7. He's got a whip of .750. So we were talking about Reed Detmers earlier. Tyler Glasnow doing better. He's got a better whip. He's pitched a few more innings though, but still, he is on it. The 29 strikeouts right now leads the major leagues. Batters faced 90 batters so far, so that also right now with the numbers that he's putting up, he's doing well. And
yes.
So that's what that's why they spent the extra money to sign him long term. They didn't just want him for a season and then he could go wherever he wanted to. They wanted him to be here if they're going to make that that change and make that that trade. They needed him longer term, and he's looking good so far.
So far, it's looking good. Will Smith, another good game, 2 for 5, had a home run in this game. James Outman, once again, 2 for 4, has another home run. So he was struggling. I mean, I know it's early on, but he was really, it was like, just not looking good at the plate. And, maybe things are coming around for him, hitting the home run, getting the single, getting hits there and here and there. And then Shohei Ohtani, 1 for 5, but had 3. 1 for 5. Will Smith had the 3 RBIs. But it was really all about Tyler Glasnow. Brock Stewart, as you mentioned, did pitch for the Twins against the Dodgers. after Glasnow came out after the 7th inning, Bthe came in. He is looking better than he did at the end of the season last year, but still there's something on first batter gives up a home run, but then is able to get out of the inning. So it is 6-1. And then they bring in Connor Brogdon, who they got from Philadelphia. And that was a little scary because he gave up back-to-back home runs, was able to get out of the inning, but the Twins were able to get 3 runs off of 3 home runs from Bthe, and then Brogdon giving up the 2. So that was a little close for comfort, because even if you're up by 6, you cut it in half at 3 more isn't, or 4 more isn't too far to go. But Dodgers win this game and look good.
They take the series.
They do take the series.
With only one more game left, getaway game, Wednesday afternoon. Looked like a nice day there in Minneapolis.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be like maybe 70 there in Minneapolis in April. So, yeah, it looked good. I did say Earl Hershiser was and Joe Davis were on the call. They were showing Tyler Glasnow, and that was one thing that Earl Hershiser said. It's good. He had such a great outing last night. Today, he can just rest. He doesn't have to go out and throw. He doesn't have to do anything. He just needs to hang out in the dugout, just be. So there is something to just being. Just be. That's what Earl Hershiser, great
like
pitcher.
Nike, just do it.
Just do it. Just be.
Just be.
Just be.
I like it.
Yeah. Bobby Miller on the mound.
If you go to Frankie Goes to Hollywood, and when they say, he goes, hey, I know I just pitched yesterday. I want to go out and throw some more. I say, relax. Don't do it.
That's good. I think that should just be a sign. They'll need to have those shirts. Yes. Rough outing for Bobby Miller. He does go.
Yet again.
I know. Goes 4 innings. Gives up 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. And you begin to wonder, I mean, I know what this is his 3rd outing. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the first one was crazy. It was like, whoa, this is awesome. And now it's like, was that a fluke?
He's been opposite of Yamamoto.
Yeah.
With a bad outing and then 2 good ones.
Right.
Bobby had a great outing on the first one and below average on the next 2.
I mean, he did go longer into, 4 innings versus 1 2/3. But yeah, something's, moving forward, something's going on with Bobby Miller. Not sure what. I'm sure they'll be able to figure it out. But Max Muncy was 1 for 4 in this game, did have a home run, an RBI. Ohtani was 1 for 3. Teoscar Hernandez, 2 for 4 with a double. But Dodgers go on to lose this game 3-2. So they do win the series, as you mentioned. They leave Minnesota, have an off day today, and then welcome in the San Diego Padres for a weekend series, and then the Nationals will be coming in.
So who is your player of the week?
My player of the week, again, I mentioned when I was talking about the Angels, do I go with this guy? Is it too early? I gotta give it to Shohei Ohtani, 11 for 26, 423 batting average, 2 home runs, 4 doubles, 1 triple, 4 RBIs.
It's hard to not do that.
I know.
But here's the difference. Last year, we kind of had to go with Ohtani because the Angels, because Mike Trout was injured, that there was really only Ohtani.
Right.
And nobody else was doing anything. Ohtani can have a great game every game out. And generally, he's not going to be the only one with the Dodgers.
Right.
Freddie Freeman is probably going to do something. Mookie Betts will probably do something. He didn't today, or he didn't yesterday in that game.
Yeah.
He popped out, to end it. But that's he's not got the same weight on his shoulders here. So I think it's fair that just like, last week, Mookie gave us no other choice. He took all the choices away. And that's what we're going to have to look like with this team. Is there a reason to pick somebody other than Mookie, Shohei, Freddie?
Right.
Or whatever. And while I'm good with Shohei, I'm giving my player of the week to Tyler Glass now, because we couldn't give it to him last week because Mookie was leading Major League Baseball in every category.
I agree. I looked at him too, and I was like, okay. But then I looked at Shohei. But I mean, there were a lot of different, it could have gone different ways.
Oh,
but
yeah, no,
right
absolutely.
now, I think I'm going through the batting order at this point. I had Mookie, I had Shohei.
Next
Will
week
it be
could
Freddie?
Freddie.
Will it skip? Will we skip and go to Will? Will it be Teoscar? Who will it be?
There's always a big conversation about WAR. How important is, wins above replacement.
Right.
And if that's the case, then last week with Mookie, that was perfect. His WAR is at 1.7 for the season. Then Tyler is at 1. But you skipped the guy who's third on the team in WAR, if we're only going to go by WAR, because Shohei's number 4 in WAR, right in front of James Paxton, who's tied with Shohei. So they're actually together right there. Teoscar Hernandez.
Yes. And after I said Shohei, I said for the player of the week, I thought I should have gone with Teoscar. But
that's a good problem to have, though, in that every week, if you have to struggle through all the great players, all the great plays.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. And obviously it's early. Who knows what's going to happen with Teoscar Hernandez, but I've never been a big fan necessarily.
Yeah.
But I like what I've seen so far, and hopefully being part of this team will help him continue on with that.
Yeah.
All right, bullpen cart is all gas charged up and washed and ready to go for another trip around baseball. And I got to start this off with something that just happened yesterday. Something I didn't even know it was that day, but it's appropriate. The Naylor brothers in Cleveland, Josh and Bo. Last July, they both hit home runs in the same inning in Texas. They did it again on Wednesday. But you know what makes this one pretty good? I guess you don't.
Oh, I thought you were just going to tell me.
What makes this one really good is they did it on National Siblings Day.
Hey, that's awesome. I didn't even know it's National Siblings Day.
Yeah, the last time that you had two brothers homer on the same day was BJ and Justin Upton. They did it on April 23rd. They also did it just a few days before that on April 6th in 2013. Two home runs, homer in the same frame on National Siblings Day. So
wow, that's awesome. I love that.
Ain't that something?
It is. It is so awesome.
I guess I had to get that out of the way since it's National Siblings Day. And they do that on, so, and here we got a podcast celebrating National Siblings Day, I guess.
Yeah.
All
Happy
right.
National Siblings Day.
Back at you. All right. So I guess it's time to look. I didn't see, but maybe you did. Who was MLB's Player of the Week?
Ooh, I don't know. Is that even a thing? I was thinking.
It used to be. It was last season, and the
Player of
season
the
before
Week?
that, and the season
I
before
thought
that.
it was the. I guess it is. I was thinking Player of the Month.
We got that
But
too.
right, and so yeah, you're right. See, okay, well, I mean, it makes sense here. Renell Blanco
Renell
of
Blanco,
of the
yes.
Astros.
Throw a
He tossed
no-hitter.
his first no hitter. I mean, that's kind of a gimme, right?
Even if he didn't, even if it wasn't his first one.
Yeah, I mean, he looked awesome. And then Spencer Steer of the Cincinnati Reds. He had a 409 batting average, 3 home runs, 9 RBIs, 5 runs, 9 hits, and 3 walks. So those are the players of the week. I need to remember the MLB players of the week. I only think about the SRBB players of the week.
Right.
That's more important.
Yeah, it's true. It is most important. Anyway, so that's cool.
Well, I wanted to talk about City Connect uniforms, but before I get to City Connect uniforms, I want to talk about uniforms, but before I get to uniforms, I want to talk about errors and how things get changed and can affect players' streaks.
Exactly. I'd already forgotten. I mentioned it, and in our way, we tease things and never pay them off.
Never do.
So here's the deal. Jana, tell him the deal. An Angels player was on a streak, and due to a scoring change, that streak that we thought was 35 games ended 2 weeks ago or something, or a week ago, I guess, and due to a scoring change by MLB. So it's definitely disappointing, not only for the player, but the team, and for, I think, fans in general. We like these streaks.
Yes. So Nolan Shanuel of the Angels.
I can't, I don't know about you, but I don't know if I can say his name without saying his whole name.
Right. Yeah. You can't say Shanuel. Yeah, Nolan Shanuel.
Yeah, but
and that he's named
Nolan
after
Ryan
Shanuel. Yes. So Angels, Nolan Ryan Shanuel, he had a 36 game on base streak. And he had this streak from the beginning of his major league career. And
he's starting, it's like the longest on-base streak to start a career.
Yes, to start
and I think
career.
Alvin Dark is the one who holds the record of like 40 some odd game. Maybe it was more than that. I don't remember.
Yes.
So Shanuel had a little ways to go before he could break that record.
Right.
But he had, like I said, 36 games.
36 games. He had reached base safely in every game since drawing a walk against Boston in the first game. He extended the streak to 36 games.
Right,
and
this goes back to last season, obviously. This is
right.
the start of career, not just for a season.
But the Angels thought that he had kept the streak alive with an infield single in the 9th inning of the road game against the Orioles. This is the beginning of the season. It's like, come on.
Right. And it was scored a hit at the time, I believe.
Exactly, it was. But MLB gave a dropped catch error to Baltimore reliever Mike Baumann upon review. And so, because he was at 36, it's now only 30.
So, yeah, his streak ended at 30.
At 30. And the Angels did try to appeal the decision, but they were denied.
And then Wayne Rondazzo, who is a former Mets announcer and has been with the Angels since last season, went off on MLB.
On everything.
Oh yeah, he didn't just hesitate there. He talked about the injury stuff because that was all going on when this happened, about what MLB said, what MLBPA said, and then why would you take away this streak from this up and coming youngster here, and why ruin that? Why did that need to be changed? Leave it alone.
Yeah.
Party poopers.
Exactly.
What are they doing?
Yeah.
So
that's a bad look. But MLB.
When isn't the MLB a bad look? It seems like when it comes to things like this,
Their
optics. We want everybody to watch baseball, yet we don't make it accessible to anybody.
Exactly. They man-fred it up every time.
Every time. We still have to go along with him for what, 5 more years, 6 more years now?
I know, that's ridiculous.
2029 is when his contract is up at the end of the season. So
we'll see.
That's still 5 years away.
And in that rant, not only, he goes off on just the injuries, gambling, that the streak is taken away, and the uniforms.
He does. And the uniforms have been, everybody thought, as far as MLB, Nike, Fanatics, who are the 3 main entities in this uniform fiasco, figured by now everybody'd be over it.
Well, I think it was just this week, the Detroit Tigers' Riley Green his pants were shredded when he slid into home. When he got up, it was like he had tore, like he could tear away his pants.
Yesterday or the day before? It was just the last couple of days.
Right. So there's that. Nike designed the uniforms. The Fanatics produce the uniforms.
Now, one thing that I hadn't looked that deeply into it. Yes. I knew there was issues, like the jerseys are a different shade of gray than the pants.
Yes.
Stuff like that. And we'll get to all of that in a second, because there is technical stuff for that's caused that. But the one thing that I was like, Fanatics has pretty much taken over everything. Mm-hmm. No matter what you're going to get, they pretty much have a monopoly on sports merchandise.
Yes.
What I didn't realize was a couple of years ago, Fanatics bought out Majestic. And Majestic,
I didn't know that.
Majestic is the one who had been making the jerseys all these years.
Yes.
So the manufacturing process of the uniforms is exactly the same as it has been for decades.
Right.
They're still made in the same place.
But what is different about the manufacturing?
Nike.
Yes.
Is the problem, not because of the manufacturing per se, but because of their specifications and suppliers connected to Nike getting supplies to Fanatics to create the uniforms.
Right. So if you notice, the letters on the back of the jerseys are smaller. The gray shirts and the gray pants don't match. And there is somebody who, I guess, close to Fanatics, that Fanatics said they raised concerns with Nike about the difference in the color gray. And Nike said, well, it's within a window of variance, and just use it. Just go with it. Again, another reference to Elf, where he has the book. They don't know what happens to the lost puppy. The page is missing. Just go with it. Just ship it.
I'm not going to take a hit on this.
Exactly.
For that.
Exactly.
That was, that's exactly, and that's what he said. And it wasn't a very good book anyway. And these uniforms are not good. So here's the thing. The pants are the same as they ever were.
Yes.
Because the material is coming from the same the same producer as always before. That didn't change.
Yes.
The jerseys are off because everything's got a dyeing process. It doesn't come out. The material has to be dyed the gray color.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't just. We just didn't find gray, material. It has to be dyed. The dyes are different. 2 different manufacturers are providing the materials. You mentioned that the names on the back. So the swoosh on the front got bigger.
Yeah, it's huge.
And it draws your eyes away, I think, than the Dodgers or the Angels across. You keep seeing the swoosh. On the back, what do you know why the names are smaller?
No. Why are they smaller?
They made the MLB logo on the back bigger.
Oh, right.
And so in order to do that and maintain, the settings, the names had to be made smaller.
Right. Yes. And they also have they wore them for the All-Star game. The jerseys, they're called Vapor Premier, and they're supposed to be more breathable, lightweight, and moisture wicking. But the players are saying they're not moisture wicking, they're just sweaty. And it's not a good look.
If you watch, you can see the players with big sweat stains on some of them. Yeah. Not all of them, but some of them. And you're right. It doesn't help that's the case. It
doesn't. But this is a partnership with MLB that Nike has more than $1 billion. Their MLBPA is involved. They're making sure that the players' complaints are being heard. However, all of the players have to be measured, but there's still teams that don't have, like I think Minnesota has their City Connects, but they didn't have the cream-colored pants that go with the jerseys. And so they still didn't have those because they hadn't been sent yet. I think the St. Louis Cardinals also don't have some of their uniforms that they wear, like their powder blue and, that kind of stuff.
And it was brought up that like Saturday uniforms or something like that. And it was brought up. But then Fanatics said, and seemed to have proof to it, that it's like, hey, we go to each club and we ask for priorities. He goes, this is no different than any other season. Yeah. Where some are shipped out now, some are, we're not going to need those till this point. So they're pushed. Fanatics has said that they're beating the deadlines for these, but the Cardinals said they didn't need that particular uniform until May.
But they need it now, apparently.
And now all of a sudden they need it. So it seems like there's maybe some teams are piling on. Maybe the Fanatics folks are putting up a roadblock and just trying to cover themselves for their goofs, and Nike's and MLB are covering themselves. And basically the 3 of them are telling the players to get over it.
Yeah, that's it. But if you watch that slide into home plate, makes you think, are these good quality? What happened with the manufacturing? Or is it the manufacturing? It's not necessarily the manufacturing. Everything is being done, but is it the material? Are they skimping on the material? Where are they going? Are they using Jerry Seinfeld's dad, who worked in the garment district?
I was just wondering if maybe George Costanza has gotten to Rob Manfred.
Maybe.
Talking about what would be better. Cotton.
I think you might be onto something there.
That could be the conspiracy.
But now we have the City Connects are being unveiled for this season. First one is Philadelphia. And my first impression of Philadelphia, like the hat, got the Liberty Bell on it. Not impressed with the colors because I know that Philadelphia they don't wear a red, they wear more of a maroon. They do have blue uniforms that they wear.
Yeah, they have powder blues.
Powder blue, which I think is cool, but the red is more maroon. So it's not really a red, white, and blue, but that's the kind of scheme I would have thought they would have gone with. But in this case, the City Connect for the Phillies, they're midnight blue, light blue, and yellow. And those are the colors of the Philadelphia city flag. So they wanted to go with that. It says Philly instead of, Phillies, or it just says Philly across the front. And that font looks cracked, and it's a nod to the Liberty Bell. And also, apparently, it's similar to font or text that was found in historical documents written in the city. However, some of the numbers in that font don't look great. Like the number 7 have a similar look to other symbols. Like,
Gotcha.
yeah. And patch on the sleeve says City of Brotherly Love with the Liberty Bell integrated inside the word love, because it's it's brotherly love. And this one, it always makes me laugh, are these, because who's going to see it unless you buy the jersey, but you're not going to see it, is the Philly skyline is depicted on the inside of the uniform's collar,
Right.
in bright blue. And the reason it is there in a bright blue is because Philadelphia is a blue collar city with a small town feel. Now, I have been to Philadelphia. I like Philadelphia. It's a great city, but I never really felt like it was a small town feel.
No, but you don't live
I
there.
didn't
You
live
just
there.
visited.
I know. I
You
know. I
know, so
lived
maybe
across the
if
river.
If you had lived in Philly, you
Yes,
would
I'd have a different.
understand that. You'd have a different perspective.
I did. I did spend quite a bit of time, but I did not live there. I lived, across the river. So, and that's
Through the
it.
woods.
That's through the woods, and so that's it. That is the City Connects. They are very different than what I was thinking from Philadelphia, but I haven't heard anything really negative about these particular jerseys. How about you?
Not yet.
Right, not yet.
Well, we'll see. I didn't. The coloring's off, but it's also like when Boston came out with theirs,
Right.
with the yellow. Until you know why,
Yeah.
because they do have red, white, and blue. They have that kind of maroon color with the baby blue or the powder blues, but
Yeah.
at other times they're wearing red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. So I guess once we see them on and out there, we can go from there. But I haven't really heard anything too much yet. Of course, we have more teams that will be unveiling, including the Dodgers. They have City Connects, but they've retired those.
Right.
And the question is, where are they going to go now? Because those had the Los Dodgers field.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, they were wearing them at home whenever Julio Urias would pitch, which we know that's not going to happen anymore. And we'll talk a little bit more about him. Let's finish up with other teams that are going to be doing the City Connects. This season, we still have the Guardians, the Tigers, the Twins, the Mets, the Cardinals, the Rays, and the Blue Jays, along with the Dodgers. And then, of course, we just had the Phillies. Will all be debuting new City Connect jerseys for this season.
Yeah, and we are all there for that. We love to. I think the best description was the Angels, because they really had to sell it. But the font is cool on those. So anyway. but the little touches, like we're going to put the skyline in the collar because it's in blue.
And it's blue.
Because it is a blue collar town. So.
Okay.
I'm thinking of the sticks, but.
I don't know. When I first saw the skyline, I thought, until I realized that the Sky Needle the Space Needle wasn't there. I thought it was the opening to Frasier, the TV show Frasier. Their skyline looks like Seattle, except for the Space Needle.
Except for the Space Needle. That is correct. Yes, that's true. So we did have a player that finally retired, was the MVP of the 2019 World Series, and really haven't heard much about him.
He
since.
It was even like brought up to him by the organization.
Yes.
Last year that he retire. And then that opened the negotiations to how much they were going to pay him out on his guaranteed contract. And that would be Steven Strasburg. Finally gone. And we alluded to him earlier, or I did, that there's a lot of issues with him that from the very beginning, the Nationals were very handled with kid gloves with him.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think, every little thing, it's those parents that at every sniffle, they're at the emergency room.
Yes.
I almost feel like that the Nationals ownership had Munchausen's.
I think you might be right. After he signed a huge contract, $245 million contract. I mean, now it's like, but 2019, he signs this big contract. And after he signs that contract, he threw only 530 pitches.
Wow.
And that's it. And then he has now retired from the game.
I think that Kyle Freeland on opening day threw 500 and some odd pitches just in one inning.
I think you're right. Yeah. He made 8 starts and pitched 31 and a third inning since signing his free agent contract. That helped, get the Nationals to the World Series title. He did undergo thoracic outlet syndrome surgery in 2021. He never fully recovered from that. And his contract was uninsured. And the Nationals will be paying the entire amount of that contract for.
A lot of people thought that it was insured. They're like, the Nationals aren't going to have to pay that, but they worked out a deal that he's going to get all of it.
Yeah, going to get all of it.
And I think pretty much just as they would have paid him otherwise. So
yeah.
The problem with that is that they can't, even though he's retired, it still counts against them.
Right.
And that's the bigger problem.
That is bigger issue. Yep.
Which is too bad, because I would have thought they could have said, okay, because they wanted to defer it. Maybe they could have figured it out so that they could do that. But, the Nationals, and you know what? That's just the way it is. You made the deal. You got to stick to the deal. The Nationals will probably be farther behind now on trying to rebuild that team.
Yes. Definitely. And maybe a little bit more careful on
maybe
their contracts.
So, on the contracts. And maybe they'll learn that they don't need to baby every single one of them.
Yeah.
They didn't need to baby him that way. And at the beginning, when they realized that they were going to baby him and they felt that they absolutely had to baby him, they should have put that into play with how much they were going to pay him over a long term.
True. Yeah. So. And he has not retired. He's flown under the radar. It's totally, we don't know where he is. But Julio Urias, we know what happened. He was been suspended. MLB is still conducting an investigation, but it did come out this week that he is being charged with 5 misdemeanors in the incident that happened after the Galaxy game in Los Angeles.
We were talking about this. It's interesting is that you don't hear anything about him. And when this came out, it was kind of almost even a surprise. It's he's an afterthought.
Yeah.
I did hear that he was potentially going to sign with the team in Mexico. And his agent, he's a Scott Boras guy, said he's working out. He's trying to stay, which sure he should. Maybe somebody will say, well, he didn't get, this didn't fall out the way that like Trevor Bauers did or, something else. He's maybe in a position. So, I mean, we'll see. He's still he's looking at some sort of a discipline from MLB. We'll just have to wait and see what they say. But in the interim, I think he's doing the best thing he can. Shut up.
He's staying out of the public eye.
The invisible man.
Yeah, exactly. Totally agree with that.
So I mentioned Kyle Freeland, and I forgot about it last week. But the Rockies did something that I don't think anybody else has ever done on a opening day. In one inning, they gave up 14 runs.
Oh, yeah.
And you would think that when you heard that, you'd think, oh, they started the season in Colorado. No. They were in Phoenix. And Kyle Freeland gave up 10 runs, just in that third inning of that game. They were already down 2-1. And the D-backs just piled on. Like I said, Freeland gave up 10 runs. Anthony Molina, who came in behind him, gave up 6 more. And that would be the final tally, 16-1. But it was 14 runs in just one inning.
The Rockies are, I feel, very similar to, as far as their ownership, I think it's very similar to like the A's ownership. I mean, they're not looking to move anywhere. They still get the ticket sales, but a lot of times it's, and when I have been there, there's still a lot of Rockies fans. They still come out to support the team, but there is also a big, especially Dodgers. And when I go to see them, I go to see the Dodgers play, and there's a huge contingent of Dodger fans. So I wonder about the Rockies, where they're going. Chris Bryant was booed. The fans booed him, which I'm sure that they haven't, they've done it maybe before, but they couldn't do it before because he was on the IL, because he stubbed his toe. But I wonder
is saying, if you contrast that to how he was treated in Chicago,
right,
where they gave him a standing ovation, probably because it's like, hey, thanks for not doing that here.
Yeah. I wonder, it'll be interesting to see as we go through the season. I mean, they're in last place. That seems to be the norm. They're kind of a forgotten team. Like, oh, you're playing the Rockies, you're going to win. Maybe you won't, maybe you will, but they're just one of those teams. And I think it's Denver Denver deserves more. It's a good city. It's, and they have, the Broncos that stink. And they had that awful contract with Russell Wilson. Now they've got, Chris Bryant's coming and it's going to be great. And he has turned into the Anthony Rendon of the Rockies. I don't know. Maybe that's a bad, he might be insulted by that, but
I don't know. I haven't seen Chris, but it seems Chris Bryant went to Colorado and you forgot about him.
Yeah.
That shows you the difference too, is that Russell Wilson went there and they couldn't stop talking about what was going on with him there.
Yes.
And the Broncos, but see, that's the thing. If I'm the Rockies and I'm trying to live up to the Broncos or the Denver Nuggets, the basketball team has been great.
Yeah.
And the Rockies just aren't. They're not there. They're not like these other teams, and you know, yeah, it seems like he went there just to not play anymore.
Well, I mean, if
Not
we look
under pressure. I mean, it feels like
Yeah.
that.
I think that's true. And so these are his stats for this season so far. His WAR is a minus 0.5. He's had 35 at bats. He has 4 hits and 1 home run, and he is batting 114. And the frustration is mounting in Colorado. I think Bud Black as much as Bud Black is a good, you know, he had his time, and his time is done.
Right.
They need somebody else.
Right.
In Colorado.
Exactly that. His Chris Bryant's OPS plus right now is 24.
Yeah. That's crazy.
So I could tell you this, the one thing that I was kind of not surprised was that right at the end of that 14-run inning, almost every player on the field went to the manager and said, "It's time for me to be on the wheel." Oh, I am.
So we talked a lot at the beginning of the show with all of the pitching injuries with guys on the IL. Arizona Diamondbacks shortstop Geraldo Perdomo underwent surgery to repair a torn right meniscus. He most likely is out for the season. Spencer Strider is currently on the 15-day IL. We don't know how that looked. We know that there is a tear. What's going to happen? We'll find out if he's going to be in
upcoming weekend, from what I understand. I don't know if that's the case, but
that's what they're saying. But will he be in the wing of the IL, of the Tommy John wing? Trevor Story. This happened in Anaheim. Former Rocky, now with the Red Sox. He's going to undergo season-ending surgery tomorrow to repair a fractured glenoid in his left shoulder.
Yeah, he was hurting. I saw the play.
Yeah.
And at first, when you look at it, it didn't seem like it was all that much. But as they showed it, if you just really had to pay attention. But you never know when you fall on something how you're going to land. Well,
I think at first they thought it was dislocated. That was a dislocated shoulder, but now it is fractured. He is out for this season. It's too bad because Trevor Story is a good player, but he has been injury prone.
He's had some issues there in Boston compared to what he should have been doing and what he was doing in Colorado.
Yes.
Jan
Moncada, he is on the IL, but he is expected to miss 3 to 6 months with a left adductor strain. Adductor.
Not a minus ductor.
No.
A multiplication ductor.
And Luis Robert Jr. is out with a hip injury. And
that's a sad thing for the White Sox because it devalues Robert for a while, and they're going to have to trade him in order to get some pieces in their rebuild.
Yes. And I mentioned Framber Valdez at the beginning. Chase Silseth, right elbow inflammation on the 15-day IL. And Kota Singa, I mentioned him last week. He was on the 15-day IL with the shoulder injury. He has now been moved to the 60-day IL.
So who knows?
Not good news for the Mets. And he's not on the IL because he has been DFA'd, but Julio Teheran. Yes, he is gone. The Mets have DFA'd him.
We talked about them picking him up last week. They got one start out of him, and they DFA'd him, and yet they still don't feel like Trevor Bauer's the guy for them.
Exactly. And that is this week's Will of IL.
Before we go, this is the time of year where guys who are probably some of the top prospects. Somebody maybe's injured, maybe something's not happening with a player that they thought was going to play better. So they say, let's give this guy a chance. Well, the number one prospect in all of baseball,
all of it,
is now part of the Baltimore Orioles. He took the field Wednesday night with the Orioles, and I think he's already got an RBI from what I saw.
I think so. Jackson Holiday.
Yes, he is the guy.
He does have a pedigree, so.
He does. So we'll see if he turns out, to be better than the old man was. Maybe not that hard to do, but got that opportunity for him. So that's always cool. You get that. You get to see somebody come out and play. That was kind of the fun part with Nolan Shanuel. He's a guy who probably needs to be on the bench. Just to wrap up with some Angel stuff. Shanuel has been getting on base, up until they changed that hit 36 times or 36 games in a row, not just 36 times, but 36 games in a row and hit to start his career. But he's batting under 100.
Right. Yeah.
And all through the offseason, 2 names. I think you'll remember this. I had 2 names that I kept saying, and it wasn't until one of them got signed that I really went harder on the other one. But Rice Hoskins, Joey Votto.
Yes, I remember, and neither one.
And it was like, let's get one of these guys to come in to play first base and platoon with him. Rice is perfect, as is Joey Votto, because they could DH, they could play first base. You get Shanuel some more reps, you give him some time, and you get him working with people who know how to play the bag. He's just now out of college.
Yeah.
Like a year out of college, almost. Just drafted last July.
Right.
So called up in August of last year. Obviously his potential is there, but at some point you're going to probably have to send him back down if he can't get this figured out. And having one of those guys would have been perfect. Playing Sano or Drury at first base now is your option. Fine, do it. You got to get this guy reset. But Joey Votto or Rice Hoskins, neither. Hoskins is doing well in Milwaukee, or at least he had been. We talked about him last week. I haven't noticed where Joey Votto's doing. He signed a minor league contract, so he may be.
I think he's still playing in the minor. I mean, but he's also had an injury, so he's been working up too. But he signed late, so
true.
Yeah.
So. But that could have been something that could have been avoided, and they could have got there. So.
Oh, well, let's real quick mention somebody that signed late. Blake Snell had his first outing with the San Francisco Giants and only pitched 3 innings. So he wasn't ready.
He wasn't ready.
And he doesn't look good in the orange and black. I mean, I'm not a fan of the Giants, but you look at certain players and they look good in most players look good. Blake Snell would not look good in Dodger blue. Tyler Glasnow, he so good in Dodger
was in
blue.
A darker shade of blue.
Yeah.
In Tampa. So, and just for the record, Colorado's in second place right now, and Arizona's in last place.
It has changed, and that's what I say. I mean, but when all this is going on, so I mean, things could change for the Rockies, and things will be back. But they will fill Coors Field. If you haven't been to Coors Field,
I'm sorry. I was looking at the spring training stand.
Oh, I was going to say.
You should still go to Coors Field. I've never been there. I know you've been a few times. Yes. But just looking at it when I watch it on TV, I want to go. I have to go.
You need to go. It's a great stadium. I've been there, obviously, to see the Dodgers, but also just to go and to see others. I saw the Reds play when Scooter played. That's been a while.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Scooter Gennett. Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I don't even know where he is.
So the Diamondbacks are in third place. Everybody but the Dodgers in the West has a losing record.
Yeah.
And Colorado's just 3-10 to start the season.
I was going to say the last time I looked, they were 2-8. So I was like, wow.
Miami finally won a game. They didn't go to 0-10.
Yes.
So they finally got that. St. Louis, who a lot of people were thinking going to be out in front of everything, not yet. They're playing close to 500 ball, last place. But the rest of the National League Central is above 500.
Yeah, and I think some of that has to do with Nolan Arenado. I think he's just a bad karma.
You think that's?
I don't know. No, he's.
Okay.
I shouldn't beat up on him. He's having a rough time. So.
Well, you don't like him. You can beat up on him. Why not?
Yeah, he's.
Anyway, so like last year, Pittsburgh started off really good, and then they faded. Same thing. This year, they're at 9-3. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I don't know. The White Sox have only won 2 games. They are just ahead of Miami with everything. The Yankees have been looking good. Second team to 10 wins. The Dodgers were the first.
Yeah. And Alex Verdugo seems to be fitting in right there. Looks a lot younger without that beard.
Without that beard, yeah.
Yeah. Had his first home run. So, yeah, I don't know. We're just going to keep keeping our eye on baseball, and we will be here next week with episode 3 of season 5.
And that'll do it for this week's Sibling Rivalry Baseball podcast. As always, you can find us on social media, on Twitter at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A.
And on Instagram and Facebook at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A.
More next week as we continue to follow what's happening with these injuries and the back and forth between MLB and MLBPA. Is there smoke to this, or will it just be a bunch of talk and then everybody will forget about it because people won't be injured here in a little while? And who knows? We'll see what happens, and what Manfred, will he be ready to change some rules and restrict the time clock even more? We won't know till it happens, obviously, but I wouldn't be surprised by that. So we'll do all of that next week. So on behalf of myself and my little sister, Jana, we appreciate you listening to the Sibling Rivalry Baseball podcast. We may have something special for you next week. So don't miss out on episode 3, season 5. And don't forget to swing away.